Hello, my name is Nifemi, and this is our final project on grand challenges. Our first grand challenge is focused on low voter turnout in the United States, and our solution is focused on redesigning voting for a higher turnout. Low voter turnout has always been a prevalent issue in the United States. According to an article in the Council of Foreign Relations, the presidential elections in the United States has consistently seen a voter turnout between 50 and 65%. The 2020 presidential election saw one of the highest voter turnout in the United States, with about 66% of the voting eligible population actually participating in the election. When compared to countries like Sweden, Belgium, New Zealand, and Denmark, we can see that the United States is nowhere close to the turnout in those countries, with Sweden having an 80.3% voter turnout in 2022. There are a few reasons low voter turnout is a problem in the United States. Low registration rates is one of the contributing factors. Voter registration is left to individual voters in the United States, whereas in other countries it is either a mandatory or automatic process. Voter ID requirement is another issue. The requirements are often very strict to the point that it disqualifies a large percentage of the population, especially minority groups. Polling place accessibility also contributes to this problem. Voting is held on weekdays, reducing the number of individuals who can make it to the polls. Polling centers are also closing, reducing the number of centers available, which increases the travel time and wait time for individuals because centers are not close by. These issues mostly hinders communities of color. The graph shows the voter turnout in the United States compared to other countries, and you can see that countries like Belgium, Sweden, and Brazil have a voter turnout that is significantly higher than that of the United States.
Because low voter turnout in the United States is more than just a statistic. It reflects who has access to power. The MIT Election Lab found that barriers such as manual voter registration, restrictive voter ID laws, and polling closures disproportionately affect marginalized communities. What is most important is that these barriers are not just relevant. They are inevitably linked to equity and justice. When certain groups are restricted from voting, they are additionally restricted from making decisions regarding their own healthcare, housing, education, and civil rights. According to Pew and Fair Vote, increasing turnout calls for reconsidering how our systems are designed. This includes making registration easier by requiring registering to vote or automatically enrolling citizens to vote, increasing polling access, and improving the overall processes, accessibility, and inclusiveness. If democracy is supposed to represent everyone, the system must be designed so that everyone can participate fairly and easily. As a member of a student body that has faced confusion over ballots and deadlines, I understand how minor design flaws can discourage participation. That is why this is more than just a political issue. It is a design challenge with significant community implications.
To redesign voting to increase voter turnout, it stems beyond the purpose of getting more people to vote, but rather to enhance the accessibility and boost the motivation for a broader and more inclusive participation. The challenge we should be asking ourselves could be redesigned like this. How might we make voting feel accessible, secure, and meaningful for every eligible citizen, regardless of their age, income, language, or location? Who might work on these problems? A general gist of people who could tackle these issues could be election officials, as election officials have a lot of influence on voting regulation since they're working within state laws. Another could be UX/UI designers focused on accessibility. They would be able to improve voter ballots and improve the information as well as lessening the confusion or overall error from voting. Redesigning voting is a process that will take years or even decades to see consistent growth. Considering that the presidential election is held every 4 years, it could take a decade until we see an upward growth in voter turnout. Some resources that it would take to propel us toward that direction could be funding, which could come from different sources, like different branches of government, like the state, federal, and county level. It is essential to allocate funds for research and development. Technology and infrastructure is another resource. Modernization of polling systems will increase turnout as it improves accessibility and convenience. It will also be able to provide a streamline in the voting process, reduce long wait times, which heavily discourage participation. Behavioral research, as the final one, as understanding why people don't vote or why certain demographic groups are underrepresented, will require funding for social science research, but this will help tailor strategies to specific groups.
The next challenge our team decided to focus on relates to redesigning cities to be more green. What is this challenge? Redesigning cities to be more green means transforming urban areas to prioritize sustainability, environmental health, and resilience by integrating nature based solutions, renewable energy, and eco friendly infrastructure. This includes expanding green spaces like parks and urban forests, promoting public transit, walkability, and bikeability, adopting energy efficient buildings, and reducing pollution and waste. The goal is ultimately to combat climate change, improve air and water quality, enhance biodiversity, and create healthier, more livable communities for future generations to thrive in. As cities grow and continue to host over half the world's population while generating most global emissions, this shift is critical to ensuring long term ecological balance, economic stability, and social equity for populations to come.
Why is this challenge relevant? So, this challenge is relevant because of climate change. Urban areas produce about 70% of CO2 emissions. Urban cities often have higher temperatures than rural ones. Climate change due to urban cities can be seen through global warming, extreme weather crises, a decrease in biodiversity, rising sea levels, and the melting of polar ice and glaciers. So, another reason this challenge is relevant is social equity. Cities, as of right now, are not designed inclusively. They do not offer the same level of accessibility and safety, regardless of income or financial status. Cities should be redesigned in a way that is fair and disregards the financials of its residents. All people should have equal access to air, nature, safety, and green elements. So, another reason this challenge is relevant is opportunity. By making cities more green, more jobs will be created. For example, solar panel installation, sustainable architecture, community gardens, and more. By adding green elements, the economy can be boosted by the implementation of these jobs. So, another reason is durability. By inputting green elements into cities, they will be more durable against natural disasters. They will be able to withstand extreme weather without being fully destroyed. This is important because we have seen many crises that have devastated cities. For example, Hurricane Katrina was responsible for $108 billion worth of damage in 2005. By designing cities to be more green and durable, this level of damage can be prevented from occurring again. One last reason this challenge is relevant is public health. By making cities more green, there will be more access to open amounts of green spaces. This will help improve physical and mental health. This is because it allows more exercise. Also, there will be cleaner air, which is better for your respiratory system than polluted air.
Defining the challenge. What makes a city green? First and foremost, a city becomes green by integrating sustainable features like abundant parks and green spaces, efficient public transportation, especially bike friendly infrastructure. It prioritizes renewable energy, actively reduces its carbon footprint, and implements recycling programs to minimize waste. These elements work together to create an eco friendly, livable urban environment that benefits both people and the planet. In terms of redesigning, the following are some ideas on how to redesign cities to be more green. Firstly, redesigning cities for sustainability could involve innovative solutions like vertical forests and green buildings, which absorb CO2, reduce urban heat, support biodiversity, and improve air quality. Next, rooftop farms enhance food security, educate communities on agriculture, reduce transport emissions, and cool buildings while managing rainwater. Sponge cities techniques, permeable pavements, and rain gardens absorb stormwater, recharge groundwater, and prevent flooding. Meanwhile, circular economy hubs minimize landfill waste by promoting recycling and smart resource use. Together, these strategies create greener, more resilient urban environments. Lastly, I wanted to share two examples of successful green cities. Firstly, Singapore stands as global leader in urban sustainability, owning some of the world's lowest air and water pollution rates. The city state enforces strict energy efficiency standards for buildings and vehicles, implements a carbon tax to curb emissions and incentivize cleaner energy/innovation, and promotes eco-friendly mobility through hundreds of miles of hiking and cycling trails all throughout the city. Next, Curitiba, Brazil, often hailed as the greenest city in South America and an avant garde city of the future, sets a benchmark for urban sustainability. With 48 parks and 13 million square miles of green space, it prioritizes nature within city limits. The innovative bus rapid transit (BRT) system reduces traffic emissions, while the Green Exchange program incentivizes recycling by allowing residents to trade waste for food or transit credits. Additionally, advanced stormwater mitigation designs prevent flooding and protect water resources. Both these innovatives and measures collectively make Singapore and Curitiba a model for green and eco-friendly urban living.
So, what does it take? Redesigning cities to be more green will be a process. This is because, due to construction, you will need time, money, and people. I think that if we were to have the goal of redesigning all cities in the US to be more green, it would take as little as 10 years. So, resources needed are funding. Funds could come from businesses, federal governments, grants, green bonds, and more. We would need to make sure that we have the economic support needed to redesign all cities in a proper, efficient manner. Another resource is humans. You would definitely need specific types of people. This includes architects, urban planners, construction workers, engineers, and environmental scientists. Another one is technology. You would need access to green technology in order to input it into your designs. And another resource is natural resources. You would need the natural resources required to build these cities. You would also need access to the land.